Hey guys, Stefan Fischer here from All Off Road. I just returned back from my canning stock route trip and thought I'd share with you today how I went with using predominantly freeze-dried food on my trip. I decided before that trip that my fridge is not big enough to take all my usual frozen food. So I started looking around, finding alternatives. I used to carry one of these backcountry dehydrated food packs with me for 2 years, and not long ago thought I'm gonna actually give that a go and see how it tastes, and was pleasantly surprised how well it tastes. However, what I didn't like that it had a lot of artificial stuff in there, and so I started looking around for freeze-dried or dehydrated food and see what was on the market. I ended up with Radix Nutrition, which is a New Zealand company, simply for the fact that they seem to put a lot of effort in designing their food, had a professional nutritionist to develop the different meals, because obviously if I live on that stuff for 3 or 4 weeks, I want to make sure that I have really a full, well-balanced meal. They also have 3 different ranges: well-being, performance and expedition. Well-being really more for the office person who wants to save time. The performance is designed for an athlete or for someone active. It has a higher protein and also higher calorie content and helps with regeneration and recovery after, exercise. Then they also have the expedition range, which is for extreme environments, very cold, or if you hike the whole day. And it has, again, more protein, more calories, more fat. For me, I think the performance range for what I do would be perfect, because I still need a decent meal size. But obviously we're sitting in the car a lot. While we do some walks, we're not, under extreme conditions in that regards. I also should mention that for the performance range you need 400 milliliter of water. I usually use a little bit less, and the expedition range only uses 280 milliliter of water. So you also need less water to rehydrate it. So the benefits I saw were that they were developed by nutritionists. They only choose the highest quality core ingredients, all the vegetables, meat, the fish. And it's not just dehydration, they freeze dry the food, because that is the best way to maintain all the nutrition in the food. A lot of the other providers I looked at had a lot of additives in. Which I personally am not a fan of in general life, and certainly not if I live off that stuff for nearly a month. So Radix really has none of that. So I really like their philosophy for food. I contacted Radix and asked them whether they would be interested supporting me on that trip and providing me food for the trip. And after testing 2 meals at home, I committed to that. So they sent me all the meals for myself and also quite a few meals for Dave, my travel partner, for the canning trip. When I looked at their meal range, the recipes and tastes also appealed to me. There was, wild venison, Moroccan style lamb, organic beef, chili beef. So that's something I like. They also have a pretty good range of chicken menus, but at the moment they don't have a distributor here in Australia. So to import chicken into Australia, don't ask me why, it costs $600 per shipment. So obviously that did not happen, so I couldn't try any of the chicken meals. Why would I go to that measure? Number one, I mentioned my fridge. I have a Bushman fridge that is 55 liter. I usually run that as a freezer. That is not sufficient for 4 weeks travel. So Number two is I create content. That means when the most other people start cooking, it's the best time of the day, the best light of the day. It's a golden hour, so I'm usually up filming. On top of that, every day I have to back up all my footage, and that's probably an hour of work at least. So for me, having a quick way to have dinner is very beneficial. Not to mention that I hate cleaning up, even though I have a fairly good system there. But with the freeze-dried meals, because that pouch pretty much also acts as your cup, I have zero cleanup. I just clean the spoon or the fork I eat with, and that's it. It doesn't create much waste, so you just fold it together, put it into your rubbish bag. Also, if you have to, you can also burn it. It burns without any residue, we found, if you have a reasonable fire. Once I've eaten one of that main meals, I maybe have a muesli bar for dessert. That's it. And it's not 2 hours later I'm hungry again. It really lasts for the whole night. And it is lightweight, so it's much lighter carrying these than carrying, for example, a tin. I mean, in a 4-wheel drive is not a huge issue, but still, it saves a little bit of weight, especially if you consider you carry a boxes or 2 of these. Another big advantage is that the freeze-dried fruit does not need refrigeration. Obviously, if I rely on my fridge and freezer, if that should fail in the desert, all my food would be spoiled. With the freeze-dried fruit, I don't have that issue as long as I have water. It has 1-year shelf life. I mean, tins, obviously the same, but I reckon that is far more nutritious and tastier than the most canned food, in my book at least. The preparation time is very little. I just boil some water in my jet boil, which takes 2 minutes. 400 milliliter of water's in it, let it stand. For around, they say 15 minutes. I like to let it stand for 17, 18 minutes. Stir it in between once or twice, and that's all. And then you're ready to eat. With the breakfast, I do it a bit different. You are also supposed to let it rehydrate. However, I just put water in, stir it well, and then eat it because I like that crunchy feel. Especially with the mixed berry breakfast, for me that tastes the best, nice and crunchy. I love it actually. It's a well-balanced meal which has everything in you need. Vitamins, protein, fat, carbohydrates, and I really like that. So I know if I live off that for 2 weeks predominantly, I'm not gonna end up sick or get scurvy, like quite a few of the early explorers in Australia contracted. Let me show you some snippets what we thought about it on the canning. I was planning to alternate the food with some cooking, but so far none of us has cooked yet. Because that freeze-dried stuff actually tastes pretty damn good and it's so convenient. So today, wild venison, leek and thyme, Mexican chili with organic beef, or I think that's what I'm gonna have, Thai-style wild Alaskan salmon. Must not forget to take that out. Somehow seems to be always on the top, so which is quite good.
It is good. Again, very pleasantly surprised. It's like I've just made it up out of real ingredients. So yeah.
No, I really can live on that for a while.
It's so easy. And after last night's dinner, where I had the Thai style Alaskan salmon,
yep.
I was not hungry afterwards. Not at all.
Another Radix. Which one is it today?
This one is the wild Alaskan salmon with tomato and basil.
Nice. It is certainly more expensive than a home-cooked meal. One of the main meals of the expedition range is around $13. The breakfast is $8. But in saying that, I mean, when we eat on the road, you know, a burger nearly everywhere costs $15, $16, $17. So really not too much different what I would spend at home if I go out for lunch. Yeah, sorry, I don't really cook that much. So for me, it's not a big deal, but you wouldn't switch to dehydrated food on your trip to save money, that's for sure. Especially, say, if you have a family of 4, it would be a bit more expensive. Mind you, one of the performance main meals for me, I probably could stop, say, 1 or 2 spoons before it's finished. So that means it's always slightly more than I would eat, which I reckon is good. Better a little bit too much than too little when you're hungry. One thing what could be improved in my book is to aid with the differentiation between breakfast and dinner, as well as the different meals. I found that the label is very small and only states in fairly small letters what is actually in the package. So if you have them all in the box, it's not that easy to find what you are after. It would be great to have a different color for the breakfast and main meal packages, as well as a bigger sticker indicating what is in the individual package, and maybe even a color label depending on whether it's fish, beef, and so on. The most meals we tried are fairly similar in flavor, and while they have a great flavor, it would be good to introduce some different flavors, different spices to add a bit more variation. One other thing worthwhile mentioned is I was a little concerned if I change my complete diet to freeze-dried, how that would work with my bowel movement and gut. Because it's not very pleasant if you have the runs or that all doesn't work properly. If you're sitting in the car, you have to dig holes for the toilet and so on. So I can only say for me, yeah, perfect, no issue whatsoever. Rather improved it, I would say. Yeah, final verdict, I really like it. I wasn't sure whether I could live off that for 3.5 weeks, whether I would get sick of it and think, oh shit, you don't want to eat it. But absolutely not the case. I'm still looking forward to it. As a matter of fact, I still have a few left, so I had one yesterday for lunch. On most trips, I guess I will have a mix. I will have, you know, half of the trip in freeze-dried meals, and then the other half I prepare at home. It is just great when you come into camp fairly late and you know you don't have to cook. You just have dinner within, you know, 15 minutes and really only boiling water. So for me, really, that is a great benefit. So what tips can I give you? Yeah, I found it important when you open it, there's a little sachet in, a little dry sachet. Somehow that always floats on the top. I don't know how they do that. I never had to dig for one in none of that meals. I thought, oh, I may have to dig through the food to find that sachet, but it's always on top. So obviously take that out, don't cook that. Put the water in, stir it very well, seal it back up. And then you either steer it in between, or what we often did, we just massage it a little bit every 1 or 2 minutes. Even though we had that in very cold evenings and mornings, I thought that it's going to be cold after 17 minutes or even 15 minutes in that cold weather. But that was absolutely not the case. So after 17 minutes, it just has the perfect temperature to eat in my book. Once you're ready to eat, you're gonna rip the top part off here, and that then pretty much gives you a bowl. I found that the easiest if you start ripping both ends a little bit, turn it around, rip, and then you finish it off. Otherwise it rips off a little bit uneven. Also no biggie, but yeah, that makes it a bit easier. For the breakfast, you only put water in. To be honest, I'm not a big fan of muesli with water or any of that stuff. So the first time eating it, I actually put milk in. And that also tasted good, but I didn't have milk for the whole time. So the second breakfast I had with water, and again was pleasantly surprised. It tastes very good. It doesn't taste watery in any way. So after that, I just had with water and kept the milk for my coffee. As always, guys, if you like my videos, please help me and subscribe to my YouTube channel. Click the like button, leave me a comment, and even if you can afford it, maybe consider supporting me on Patreon. For $5 a month, you get early access to all of my videos and help me to make them. Thanks for watching. Hope to see you around the tracks.